Salutations everyone, and welcome to my Let's Play of the original Legend of Zelda. I'm playing this on the mini NES Classic or whatever it's called, and you can tell because this little sequence that's going to be happening right here. At the beginning of the original Legend of Zelda, if you wait at the title screen for a little while, you get some story. In fact, really the only story that you're going to get in the game. And if you have a keen eye and have played the original Legend of Zelda, then you'd notice that there were some typos in the original version that aren't present here. Rather than spelling Ganon's name G-A-N-N-O-N, it's just G-A-N-O-N here. And instead of calling the Triforce, the pieces that we're collecting rather, the Triforce with Wisdom, I believe, they instead call it the Triforce of Wisdom, to keep it in line with the rest of the series. And I think one kind of minor difference is that rather than displaying the number 8 with quotation marks around it, they instead write out the whole word 8. So, yeah, some stuff was minorly changed, but that's really about it. The game is still the same. And just like in the original, you don't even start out with a sword. You have to go inside of a cave to grab it. This is kind of a weird game for me. I do like the game, but I can't really recommend it. It's honestly very difficult. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard anyone say this about Breath of the Wild, but it's very easy to die in that game as it is in this one. And the most that you'll probably die is at the beginning, in my opinion, because you have low health. Enemies take a couple hits to take out initially. If you do get hit, you lose out on your special ability, which is to shoot beams out of your sword whenever you swing it. And for some reason the sword is on the A button in this game. In later games, like Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess, the sword button is instead the B button. So that's kind of weird. Although I think in Japanese, Wind Waker was the A button as well, so I don't know what's going on. What I was doing just there is I was getting some bombs. The way enemy drops work in this game is not very random. Like, certain enemies will give you rupees more often than others. Certain enemies will give you bombs more often. The blue Octoroks that I went and killed were ones that give you bombs more often. And bombs are very useful in this game as you can find secret areas with them. There are a lot of secret areas in this game that are very hard to recognize. Honestly, I probably don't even know where all of them are. But I will be showing you the ones that I do know of, and I will be making use of them. The one that we just went to was one that had a heart container in it. Heart containers are a staple in the Zelda series. They refill your health in later games, although in this one they just extend your health, they don't refill it. Another thing I want to get is underneath this Armos here. You go inside this hole, and there's the meme. It's a secret to everybody. Here's a Moblin with 30 rupees for us. There's a bunch of it's a secret to everybody guys around the world. Some of them with, say, 30. Some of them with 100. So, I'll be showing some of them, as I said, because there are a lot of them. And I have another way of making money that doesn't really require use of these Moblins here. I think this one is also 30. We're going to need a lot of rupees at the beginning of this game because there is something very expensive at the beginning, and that's kind of annoying. Your wallet in this game, its max limit is 255 rupees, which is, if you're familiar with coding at all, that's a byte, because in coding, well, I don't want to really give too big of a lesson, but basically coding is in hexadecimal. The highest amount you could go to is, I think, FF, and just F by itself represents 16, so that's as far as I'll go with that. Now that we have 5 heart containers, we can actually get something special, though I don't think I'm going to be getting it as soon as I can. There's probably another heart container that I could find somewhere around here. I'm not going to be going to the first dungeon for a little while. because I want to do everything I can before the dungeon starts. And here it is, the money-making game. This is how I make money in the game. As you can see, you pick up one of those minus 10 rupee things, and depending on which one you get, and it's completely random, you'll either get plus, I think, 20, plus 50, minus 10, and minus 40. So it's very much a chance thing. I kind of skipped ahead, because I kept on playing the game until I got over 200 some rupees. And I got 250, which is lucky for me because that's precisely how much I need. Though I'm not going to be using it immediately. These enemies right here, Tektites, these ones are red. We saw some blue ones earlier. Usually the rule is a red enemy is the easy variant and the blue version is the hard variant. But for Tektites, that's kind of the opposite. The red ones, I feel, are harder because they're a lot more sporadic. They jump around more than the blue ones. The blue ones are easier in my opinion. Meanwhile, Octoroks, as you might have seen before, the red ones only take 1 hit, while the blue ones take 2. Here's something really important that you should probably get. This is the blue candle. The reason I say blue is because, well, there is another candle that we can get later on that isn't blue, and blue fire is just kind of an unnatural thing to a lot of people in video games. The ability that this grants you is you press the button and you let loose some fire on the screen that can do lingering damage and light up dark rooms. But we're not going to be encountering dark rooms for a while, I think. This enemy right here, the Lionel, I believe it's called, they do 2 hearts of damage if they hit you with their sword beam, so watch out. But since I have 5 hearts, I can grab this, the white sword. The sword upgrades in this game are determined by how many hearts you have. At 5, you can get the white sword, and now I can do double damage, which is very neat. The Octoroks, which took 2 hits before, only take 1. I think the Zoras here also only take 1 hit from the white sword. It does double the damage of the wooden sword. This bit with the falling rocks, the rocks are completely random, as I recall it. And I think they only do like half a heart of damage, which isn't too bad. To the left is the first dungeon, but I'm not going to be going there yet, because I got other stuff to do. And there was a bit of slowdown there. Geez, classic NES, being a bad emulator, I guess. You saw there, I just used the fire. There are some bushes in this world that you can burn, or trees, I don't even know what they are. But if you burn them, sometimes there's goodies hidden behind, or underneath rather. And this one right here, for example, has, I think, another heart container underneath. These guys give you the choice of a heart container and a potion. The potion is really not the one you want to take. Potions basically refill all your health. If you use them, you have to equip it and then, you know, press the B button. But they only refill as much health as you can lose, you know? Like, if I were still at 3 hearts, I could only refill 3 hearts, but since I have 6, if I were to get a potion another way, I could get, you know, 6 hearts out of it. So, you really should go for the heart containers. And also, if you do go for the potions, they're permanently gone. You go back into that cave, the old man isn't going to give you another chance and let you take the heart container, that's it, you're done. Another thing about the blue candle is that you can only use it once per screen. That's why I'm not going around burning the entirety of the world right now. Although, I really couldn't because, one, that'd just be really bad for a video, going around the entire place burning down bushes. Very boring, very not eco-friendly. And I forgot what my second point was gonna be. Oh well. Oh, that this isn't Breath of the Wild, that's probably what it was gonna be. I'm probably gonna be saying that a lot. Not just because, you know, Breath of the Wild, at the time of this recording, came out recently, but also because a lot of people have been making similarities between Zelda 1 and Breath of the Wild in their non-linear natures, the fact that they're really hard, stuff like that. The fact that you don't even come equipped with a sword at the beginning of the game. A couple other things I bought were a larger shield, I think, as you can see I'm wearing it right now. Basically what it does is it makes it so magical projectiles won't hurt you if you are standing still. Your shield is automatically out while standing still, and it could deflect projectiles, and that's it. You can't like take a hit from a Tektite if you're just standing still. But it can't deflect magical projectiles as the regular shield. With the upgraded version though, the magic shield, you can deflect magic projectiles like the things that the Zoras shoot at you. Here's another money-making game. And there we go. I have 252 rupees. Thank goodness I'm playing this on the mini NES. I actually am cheating on those. But I decided, you know, it's not really illegitimate because I could just keep going back and forth anyway if I had a bunch of rupees, or I could just grind and that would be kind of monotonous. So I think doing it this way is fair enough. Another item that I bought was some meat on a bone. We're gonna need that for a bit later. Actually, a lot later. I'm not going to be using it for quite some time. Underneath this Armos is a secret shop. Boy, this is really expensive. Yeah, it is. That blue ring, 250 rupees. We're basically broke now. We only have 5 rupees left. But the good thing is, once we exit this cave, we can see that Link is now blue? White? I don't really know. He looks white to me. The blue ring is blue though. Maybe they just didn't want him to be the same color as the water. I don't know. But with the blue ring, we now have extra defense. So rather than taking something like a full heart of damage, we'd only take half a heart. And this game doesn't do quarter hearts like Ocarina of Time. So if an enemy were to do half of half a heart, our health would technically stay at max until we take another half heart, at which point it would actually go down to show half a heart. But anytime your health is displayed as max, so either you have no hearts taken away or a quarter of a heart taken away, you can still shoot the sword beam. And the sword beam does the same amount of damage that your sword does. So with a level 2 sword, the sword beams do double damage. And I just keep running into shops. Shops also sell keys for varying amounts of money. And that's something pretty cool about this game. Keys aren't limited to the dungeons that you find them in, rather than something like Ocarina of Time where you get a certain amount of keys and you have to use those keys within that dungeon. In this game, you could take keys from one dungeon or buy them in shops and bring them over to other dungeons, which is very neat because some dungeons have a lot of locked doors that you can't get through, and having a bunch of extra keys would be very nice for those. A power-up in this game that doesn't really reappear in other games except for Hyrule Warriors, I think it was, is the stopwatch. Sometimes enemies will drop them, and if you grab it, then you'll become invincible, and all the enemies in the room will stop moving. So you're free to pick them off, and maybe reap some rewards. Here is the first dungeon inside of this tree thing. And we're going to immediately step back out. And then immediately step back in. Because for some reason, that unlocks the locked door that was right in front of us. Kind of weird. I don't know why it does that, but whatever. That's the only glitch in this game that I really exploit, I think. I don't recall any other point where I exploit any more glitches. But then again, I haven't recorded very far in the game. Anyway, level 1. Here we have the iconic Zelda music. I believe this is the Eagle Dungeon. The way dungeons are named are based off of, or is based off of, their maps, as I recall it. We will be getting the map in a little while, but you can kind of see where the name the Eagle comes from. In these rooms, we could grab a couple keys to get through the Stalfos enemies that were on the right side and also right here. I think they might take 2 hits with the normal sword, but since we're all powered up with our level 2 sword and, you know, blue ring, we can pretty much demolish everything in our way in this dungeon, which is very cool, because at the beginning I felt so powerless and now I'm so powerful. On the left side at the beginning were keys, and here's some more keys. I am just very good with the timing on these. They're bats. I don't know why they called them keys. They could have just called them bats, but whatever. Makes it very confusing considering that, you know, there are actually keys in this game, as in things that unlock doors. So, weird name, Nintendo. You might have seen me, trying to rub against some of the blocks in that previous room. Sometimes in these dungeons, after clearing out all the enemies in a room, you'll either get an item, a door will unlock, or you'll have to push a block, at which point you may either get an item or a door unlocks or something like that. Like this room right here, you kill all the little slime things. I think they're called like bits or bots or something like that, or that might be the name in Zelda 2, I don't quite remember. But you kill them all, you push the block, and we get a little secret from this old man here. The blocks cannot be pushed unless all the enemies are dead, which is kind of odd, but oh well. I mean, you don't want them in the way of you pushing the block anyway, so you might as well kill them all. And I'm being a dunce here, going back to a previous room thinking that I could do something in it when I actually couldn't. Although you probably could bomb a hole in one of these walls. In Zelda 1, there's a lot of times when the game expects you to bomb holes in any of the corners, or rather, not the corners, but like the center of the 4 walls of the room, in order to make some progress. It's not that annoying, then again I'm saying this as someone who's played Zelda 1 a lot, and I do mean a lot. I play Zelda games a lot. Here's the map, this weird piece of paper, and now we see that it's in the shape of a bird. Wouldn't really call it an eagle, but whatever. These are Garayas. They send out their boomerangs at you, and after killing all of them, we get our own boomerang. The boomerang isn't super useful. You can kill minor enemies with it. It comes back to you, so maybe you can maneuver around to make it so that it can kill something on its way back. But for major enemies, basically enemies that take, well, maybe not more than 1 hit, because I don't think it can kill Octoroks. Basically bigger enemies, it's like Octorok, Stalfos, stuff like that, it can't kill, but smaller enemies like the slime things, I don't remember the names of, and Keese, it can kill. You throw it at an enemy, it stuns it, you could take him down. I think they're like untouchable. Well, not untouchable, but like you can't get hurt while an enemy's stunned and you walk through them, which is very nice of them. It makes sense that that wouldn't happen because, well, they can't really physically attack you, now can they? Garayas normally take 3 hits to take down, as I recall. Again, level 2 sword, only take down 1. Well, level 2 sword is actually kind of inaccurate because they don't get called that until Link to the Past. The boomerang can also be thrown diagonally, which is pretty neat. Although I don't think I can do it very effectively because the mini NES controller is kind of weird. I had problems playing with it when I was starting things off. But I kind of got used to it. I recorded this first part a bunch of times because I was trying to figure out what controller I should use. And also I was kind of failing at the beginning of the game because, again, very hard at the start. But I kind of went like from the classic controller. No, I went from the mini NES controller to the classic controller, and I tried recording with that, but then it just didn't feel right. So I went back to the mini NES controller, and somehow it plays better now. I don't know why it does, but I'll take what I can get. Of course, that's something that I don't hate the game for. In fact, I really like it for, because it's being a douche to me, and I like it when games are douches to me, for some reason. When the enemy drops a stopwatch when it's the last one in the room. This is Aquamentus. It's a dragon. Very easy boss. You just stab it a couple times in the horn, and you can take it down. You might have noticed that a red dot was on that room. Or maybe it was on this room. I think it was on this room. Red dot basically denotes where the Triforce is in a dungeon. So that's that. We beat level 1, and next time on the original Legend of Zelda, we're going to start heading toward level 2.